Hey everybody, it's your bro Luke Feast, back at you with another video. I've always loved storytelling. I have a feature-length animation called Movie of Trey, a feature-length amateur college film called Dollar Per Day, and I'm working on an animated memoir. And I also have a show called Story of Trey and other projects. So I've been studying story structure for a pretty long time, so I think I'm pretty qualified to talk about story structure. In this video, I'm going to go into 4 ways that you can make your writing better for your animations, films, or whatever story you're trying to tell. So without further ado, here are 4 things that will definitely make your stories awesome and totally not boring. So let's just get into it. A lot of people would argue that the first and last shot of any story or film is the most important part. And not only that, it sets the tone for what the film is actually gonna be like. My doggy! A lot of directors, a lot of good directors, spend months on the first shot of the scene. Let's look at some examples of what makes a good opening scene. I'm gonna do 2 examples for a good opening scene. Fight Club. What's the first thing you see in that movie? The narrator with a gun to his mouth, and Tyler Durden is aiming it at his mouth. No spoilers right now, because that's a good movie. But what do you see when you open that shot? You see that it's going to be about violence. If the movie would have just started him being depressed, having IKEA furniture, and having a job, that wouldn't be as powerful as a beginning, because it doesn't show what the whole movie is going to be about. That first shot with the gun to his mouth, that shows the whole introduction of what the movie's gonna be about. So an audience can easily say, okay, this movie's gonna be violent and scary and thriller-like. Another example would be Office Space. I'm gonna change the camera angle so that I don't stay at the same location for too long. When you open the movie and you see it for the first time, what's the first thing you see? You see him in traffic, stressed out, done with everything, wanting more. That's an opening scene and you're like, okay, this movie's gonna be about hating, maybe going to work, and you understand what it's going to be about. But the opening scene is the most important. I guess art is subjective, so you don't have to make the opening scene resemble the whole film, but it'll make it more clear for the storyline. I'm going to do the next chapter 2. If you enjoy South Park, you probably know about Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators behind it. Like, who doesn't? Unless you live under a rock. They have a very important rule for script writing that they kind of popularized, but is very important when making stories. It's called the therefore but rule, and they have it in a video where they present it to a college.
And if the words and then belong between those beats, you're what should happen between every beat that you've written down is either the word therefore or but.
Let's look at a classic example of a therefore but rule that follows it perfectly. Toy Story by Pixar. Woody, this is Zorro from One Piece, but Woody is a very popular toy and everyone loves him. He's the leader, right? But there's a birthday party where there's new toys coming in. Therefore, a new toy comes in, kind of gets a little more popular. Woody gets jealous and accidentally pushes Buzz out the window. Therefore, he feels bad about it and the toys get mad at him and he has to go save him. That way, you get a story that progresses. I don't mean to be egotistical, but I'm gonna use my own movie as an example, Movie of Trey. Trey is excited for the first day of school. Therefore, he hangs out with friends and gets all excited. But his girlfriend Sarah is moving to New York. Therefore, he gets sad, wants to party with Joe, and drives her to the airport to see her one last time. But he mixes up the suitcase with the terrorist suitcase, Sarah's suitcase. Therefore, Sarah gets hostage and Trey has to cross-country across America to save Sarah. Now those are good examples. Now let's get into an example that doesn't really follow the therefore but structure that well. It's a classic movie, I know, is What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Hey look, it's the shadow of the tripod. I know, it's a classic movie, a lot of people might enjoy it, but if you did find it slow, there is a huge reason for that. Hey, that's the animation I'm working on right there. Woo! Woody wants to save Buzz. The guy from Office Space wants to get out of his dead-end job. Luffy wants to be king of the pirates, but with Gilbert Grape, it seems like he doesn't really want anything. He's just like, things happen to him. Let's try to dissect it the best we can with a therefore but. Gilbert is stuck in a small town, has a disabled brother. No, it's literally just and then Arnie climbs onto a water tower, and then he meets a girl that more adventurous, and then there isn't really a story, nothing pushing the character to do something with the situation he's given. So if you want to make your stories good, think about this. Is this scene in the film happening because the scene prior to it, or is it adding on a whole different thing? But then again, art is subjective, so you can write your script the way you want to. There's no actual rules, but these are just tips. Now you've probably heard this rule before, show don't tell, right? There's plenty of examples of this, but I feel like it can be really powerful if you use it the right way. I'll use an example from Rocky. He doesn't wake up and says, oh, I have to run to work out to beat the heavyweight champion. You just see him wake up and he starts running for 4 minutes of a montage. You're showing the action without having dialogue explain what's happening. You don't have a narrator behind Rocky saying, I ran because I needed to get ready. You just show the action, and that makes it more powerful in its own way. There is a show called The Sopranos, and I was getting into that show until YouTube Shorts spoiled it for me. There is a clip that I'm gonna bring up about the show, and this is an example of show don't tell. Christopher, you see him feeling discouraged about filmmaking, and he's having a hard time getting a script out there, and he just throws it away in the trash. It's simple, but it's really meaningful. He's like throwing away his dream. It's simple, but it shows that what's going on in the context of the scene. I don't like that lighting. The last thing I'm gonna bring up for writing good stories is characters. Now there's this thing in storytelling called foil. If all the characters' personalities are too similar, there's nothing to bounce off of. It doesn't feel, the dialogue might come out stiff. There's a lot of good examples of this. I don't know, The Simpsons, even GTA 5, all the characters are different even though they're all bad people. We get Trevor the crazy guy, we get Michael the dad who's a midlife, hey look, it's my dog, a midlife dad who just hates everything. And then we get Franklin, an ambitious young guy who's trying to come up. Those personalities will totally collide with each other. BoJack Horseman, you get Mr. Peanut Butter, this really happy, excited guy, and BoJack, a depressed, cynical alcoholic, so these personalities will totally collide with each other, which makes for great storytelling. I'm getting tired of standing on my knees. Another thing to make your characters diverse, and this is something I did with Story of Trey too. And the reason Andy was bald in the first season of Story of Trey, it wasn't because the actual character I based him off was bald, it's because when I make a bunch of characters, I want each character to look different from each other. For instance, when you see The Simpsons, if you take out all the color and just make him a silhouette, you're still able to say, oh, that's Homer, that's Bart, because he has the spiky hair, that's Marge, because she has the big poofy hair. And it's easy to distinct the characters. So if you're animating per se, a good way to make sure your characters are vividly different from each other is just turn them into silhouettes and see if they look different. But goals. If the characters don't have any real goals, especially the protagonist, hence Gilbert Grape, the script doesn't have anywhere it's going, really. Having those goals for the characters is important and crucial. My first oil painting. Thank you for watching that video. We have animation tutorials, which I should probably post more of, media tutorials, tunes, films, and music. So stay tuned and have a great day.